Hi, Sparkle Beans! Welcome back to the Midnight Soup Pod. I am your host, Emily, and I'm back, baby. I'm back. I'm not like 100%, but I'm dipping a toe in. And I was pleasantly surprised to see the way that the pod had been received. A lot of you telling me you were enjoying it, you were resonating with it. Even now, like asking me, people finding it and asking me, are you making more episodes of the pod? When's the podcast coming back? And I've kind of said, it's coming back, like in the new year, yada, yada. And here we are. It's the new year. So let's do a little bit of a recap because I have been mostly talking on the pod about Sparkle Quest. And this whole thing was all like a package together, like the whole Sparkle Quest thing I was doing on social media, and then the pod tied into it. And it's not all I'll talk about on the pod forever. Like it was Midnight Soup it's supposed to be like a soup. You know, it's a lot of different topics, a lot of things that I'm interested in, stuff that's going on with me, a lot of different I just want to talk about all kinds of stuff. Like, I'm not trying to box myself in, you know what I mean? But Sparkle Quest is a big part of the pod, and I want to continue on that path because I kind of just left you guys hanging. And let's say here, I'm going to say this is season 2, even though I don't know that we really had like a full season 1, but we're just moving forward. Okay? We're going to move on forward. And this is season 2, and Sparkle Quest has returned. And on the last, well, let me go back a little bit in case, let's just do a little recap here. Sparkle Quest is something that I sort of created as a means of, once again, manifesting what I want in my life and leveling up again. A couple years ago, I had manifested like multiple really big things in my life. My social media following, my partner, I would put the place that I live now as well into that. And I was sort of just in a flow. And so what Sparkle Quest, the intention of it was to go back and say, what are these things? What's repeatable? In order to basically do it again, because I was feeling in my life like it's time for a level up and I have bigger dreams and bigger goals that I want to create in my life. So I created Sparkle Quest, and in one of the last episodes I talk about the void space, and I talk about how inevitably when you're doing this kind of work, you're going to find yourself in this kind of liminal space between your old life and your old self and what you're becoming. And so from my perspective, I was like, oh, I already did that. I already did the void. And I wasn't really thinking like, I'm going to have to do the void again for some reason. But boy, was I ever wrong. Boy, was I just full of hot piss, as the Brits say, which is, I don't really like that one. It's gross to me. But I was full of shit. So I entered the void space, and then I went even deeper. And I went way, way down to the underworld, girl. I went down to hell. I went to the very pits of hell of my psyche. And it was sort of a Persephone moment, if you will. I descended, and it was dark down there, and I couldn't see anything. And I also froze. I was frozen. So I went down there, and I realized that there was some unfinished business. And I got back in therapy, which has helped immensely. And I started using a lot of tools, which we'll talk about today, to help with my nervous system, because I had realized how much I had been neglecting my nervous system, and that my nervous system was not, you have to take a shot every time I say nervous system in this episode. a shot of ginger because we're healthy girls. My nervous system was not in a place where it was prepared to hold such big goals and dreams and such big changes that I was trying to bring into my life. And so it was sort of like a shock to my system. And I was also having a difficult time seeing where I was and bridging the gap between where I was and where I want to be. And I started spiraling, and I found myself in a freeze. I found myself in this sort of state of paralysis, and it felt like a fight or flight situation. Like I was just frozen, and I was like, "Oh, I actually can't do anything. I actually can't move forward with my life. I actually um actually what does that guy say? Apparently I I couldn't move. And it was even physical. I just have spent the last 7 months. Hang on. I have to count on my fingers because I have dyscalculia. Um I want to say it was like summertime. Let's say June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January. 8 months. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 7 or 8 months where I spent on this couch in doom scroll, and I felt like I had to also isolate. Like there was not a lot of people I could be around comfortably in this time, and I couldn't have like that much stimulation from the outside world, even though, like, I'm sitting here on my phone. I just couldn't really talk to people like out in the world, and I already have a tendency to get a little bit agoraphobic and have trouble leaving my house. And like working from home is kind of doesn't help with that, I'll say, because I cannot leave my house for days. So today I do want to talk about some nervous system support, because I think a lot of you will encounter this where it can be like a little bit of a shock to the system. And there is a need to be really gentle with yourself in this time period. So also I'll say, like, I started exhibiting a lot of outwardly physical symptoms of a nervous system that was in overdrive. Did you have your ginger shot? Hang on. I'm having like a beep boop beep boop beep boop boop. I need to recalibrate. I'm shutting down in 3, 2. Just give me a second. I'm finding it. I started having like vertigo. And if you follow me on social media, like I talked about this a lot during that time period and kind of reached out to you guys to see if anyone else could identify what this was, because it was kind of scary. Like it ended up being months of vertigo, nausea, headaches that were all day, and it was even like messing with my eyesight a little bit. And I ultimately came to the conclusion that I think it was a cervicogenic headache, which can be nervous system related. And so I was dealing with that. Finally, I don't have it anymore, but it was that went on for months, and it was honestly debilitating. But it was both my nervous system being like, this is too much. There's too much going on here. We're freaking out. We're not ready for all this change. And also, I think it was because I couldn't look at my phone as much because it was like effing with my migraine and stuff. So it was like a wake-up call to be like, you need to stop. You need to get off your phone, and you need to take care of me, You need to take care of your vessel, your body, and show me some care because you've been neglecting me. So I really started to tap into like listening to my body. I went to so many different practitioners in this time because I was really trying to figure out what was going on. And I learned a lot of different things along the way from multiple people that ultimately really helped me out, and helped me get out of that space. And in that same time, like a little bit after that had been going on for a couple months, I was having like extreme acid reflux because I have GERD. But it was like really, really bad. And I was getting like hives all over my body and like my mouth was swelling. It was like so much crazy shit was going on with my body where it was just, it really felt like it was like yelling at me to pay attention to it and start to really implement certain things to take care of it. Before we get into the tools that I have used and have learned to really appreciate, I also want to say that like this is collectively such a time of transition. So many people around me, and I mean, almost like, I want to say almost everyone I've talked to has said 2025 can kiss my ass. 2025 was so horrible. It was like one of the worst years since like 2020. And I felt that way too. 2025 was an ass year. So a lot of what we have been experiencing collectively was the year of the snake. A lot of sloughing off old skin, looking at old ways of being that were no longer serving us, right? And a very transformational time and a time of regeneration. And so as we move into the year of the fire horse, I think already, I think a lot of us are sort of feeling like this veil has lifted. And also with Neptune having been in Pisces for so long, I think it was since 2011, from 2011 to 2025, it was really this time of disillusionment. And like we saw it in the rise of a lot of new age spirituality, and there was like a lot of spiritual bypassing going on. A lot of I think a lot of good stuff came to the forefront. Like there was a bigger interest in astrology for sure. There's been like a big boom in interest in astrology, in tarot, in esoteric knowledge and information. But also I think there was a lot of disillusionment, and a lot of people also fell under spells and into cult-like organizations, if you will. And now I think already a lot of people are seeing that veil has lifted. A lot of people are much more alert, and a lot of people are saying, we're sick of the spiritual bypassing. We're sick of the wool being pulled over our eyes for so many years, and we're not going to take it anymore. And we are moving forward with more determination and more clarity. And there's just a lot more momentum, I think, that we are feeling collectively and, everyone personally in their own lives. So I just wanted to note that as well, because I think it's important to recognize it's sort of a collective feeling that astrologically, energetically, that's just what is occurring. So obviously everyone's going to feel that individually in different ways. So now let's talk about nervous system healing and certain things that specifically helped me that I would recommend. And I would say, if you are in the same space, you could try out. So let's start super simple with breath. Because when I was going through this whole like migraine situation, one of the things I did was I got a massage from this woman named Erin, and she really talked a lot about the importance of breath. And she would have me like breathe through my entire body in this sort of fluid motion, like feel the breath going all the way through my body. And so I started doing that at home, and I just started tuning into what my breath was doing. And I realized that a lot of the time I'm like holding my breath. And hand in hand with that, I'm also having to, throughout the day, recognize that my shoulders are like this up to my ears, or I'm just like tense in my neck and my shoulders. And that's sort of like where the migraine, and I was having like neck pain, that's where it was like originating. So there was just like all this tension in my body that I was just holding all throughout the day and I wasn't really fully aware of. And so just like tapping into that, and a couple times a day, just being like, what are my shoulders doing? Let me relax my shoulders. Let me relax my jaw and my face. Let me just take like a big, deep belly breath. And it's just like a little mini reset. The second thing I want to talk about is EFT tapping, which that's an annoying one. That not that not that the it's not annoying, okay? It's that, like, I've heard about it so much, and so many people online being like, EFT tapping, EFT tapping, EFT tapping, for like so many years. And a couple years ago, like, I started doing it. I went to like a day course on it somewhere, and I was like, oh, this is actually kind of helpful, but then I just kind of fell off of it. And I started getting into it again, and it really helped me get out of an anxiety spiral, because that's what I did a lot also. While I was in my freeze this past year, I spent a lot of time in anxiety spirals. Basically, you're tapping different points of like your face, like your cheekbone, your forehead, under your nose, like above your lip, your chin, and then like other certain parts of your body, like your chest. And as you're doing this tapping, you are saying things like, for example, I would say, even though I am having anxiety about being seen, I love and accept myself, and I know that I deserve to take up space, and I deserve to share my light and my talents with the world. And you go through and you say things like that. And this, I'm not really great at coming up with things, so I couldn't take you through like a whole tapping session. But there's like multiple people on YouTube that do it, and you can do it with them. There's like some people on social media that will take you through like a little mini tapping session. And it really helps to just sort of like reset you. Like, it just shakes you out of that anxiety spiral. And it's also a helpful tool for helping you feel safe in your body. A lot of what I was feeling the past year was like a lack of safety internally. My whole internal landscape was just not a very safe space. And that brings me to the next thing I want to talk about, which is your self-talk and your internal dialogue with yourself. And a book that I always like to recommend, that I've read probably 3 times, and I just recently read it again. It's called The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. And it's about that inner voice in your head and how it's always just like running amok. It's just running its mouth. It's talking, it's narrating your entire life, and recognizing that that voice is actually not you. You are the observer of the voice. And he refers to that voice, Michael Singer, as the annoying roommate in your head. So recognizing that that is not you, that you are the person that's hearing and observing what the voice is narrating, really helps you detach from whatever it's saying. Because sometimes it's saying not very good things. Sometimes it's saying things that are really going to hold you back. Sometimes it's criticizing you, and it's trying to keep you small and keep you what it perceives as safe, because it doesn't want you to do anything that feels scary or different, because it doesn't feel safe. And sometimes I would literally go back and forth in my head being like, shut up. And then I'd be like, shut up. And then I'd be like, the voice in my head would be like, shut up. And it's like crazy town in there, because actually what it is, it's just the voice in my head saying, I don't know, never, just forget I said that. That's going to take us on a whole other tangent. But basically, it's not you. And I had to go so far as naming the voice So her name is Bernadette. And when she starts to get crazy, when I'm going to like do something bigger or different or that feels scary or out of my comfort zone, or like put myself out there in a different way that we've never done before, feels unfamiliar, and she'll start going off and being like, no, you can't do this because that, or like, what if this happens, or what if this happens, or what if people don't like that, or if people don't like you, or, and then I just have to say, Bernadette, sit the fuck down. Bernadette, you need to relax because I've got this. I'm in control of the situation. I'm doing this whether you like it or not. Just take a seat. So her name's Bernadette. You can name your voice in your head, and it helps you to sort of remove yourself from that, separate yourself from whatever that inner narrative is. And also start to use that narration to your as a strength. Start to use it to your advantage by using affirmations. And that's another one that I know it's so annoying. I know it's so annoying. You just do your affirmation. If you don't like affirmation, I know, you guys, but they really work. Affirmations really work. And if not only to if not even to use to manifest, just to change the voice in your head and the way that it sounds. Look in the mirror, say, I'm beautiful. I have compassion for myself. I am proud of myself. I am grateful for where I am. I'm grateful for the person I've become. It can be anything, you know? You don't even have to say, it doesn't have to be like, I am grateful that I bought a Rolls Royce and $1 million mansion in Malibu. Like, whatever. I don't want that. But someone out there probably does. And that can be a mode of assisting your manifestations. But I would say just even more so for just utilizing them and saying them over and over again to change the way that your voice in your head is speaking to you. Because if you tune into that, it's going on all day. It's all day long. So why not use that, like program that as a tool in our computer system to benefit you rather than holding you back. You know what I mean? What else? Okay, another one is journaling. And journaling has become such an important part of my routine. Just to do like a sort of brain dump. And it's kind of like a morning pages situation where I have different notebooks. I have a notebook where I will just dump anything out of my head. And a lot of that stuff is really just like annoying shit that I wouldn't even want to read back because it's like a lot of just like whiny, complainy stuff that just goes on in my head. And some of it just like, it doesn't even have like a basis in reality. It's just like, what if this, what if that, like stuff about the future, stuff I'm worrying about. And it's just like annoying stuff that I don't want in my head. I dump it all on just like a junk notebook that I have. And then I have my pretty journal where I'll write 1 to 2 pages in a day. And that's has a little bit more structure. It's like less of a mind dump and more of like me just wanting to write and also document what's going on in my life. And I'll put like stickers and stuff in that. So journaling has been really important. It's also just a nice way to look back and see how far you've come if you are a regular journaler. And it's just nice to take a little trip down memory lane sometimes. And the last thing I will say is that there is also this element of grief that we are experiencing. And both on a collective level, there is a grief of the world that we thought that we knew is no more. Like the world is so different and it's changing even more rapidly every day. And there is this, because of so much that has been exposed, I think there is like a mourning for a world that felt simpler. It felt easier, when we didn't have like all of this knowledge and information. And now that we do, we can't go back. But also, we don't want to go back because so much has come to light and we have seen so much that needs to change and the power systems in place that need to shift. And we've also been able to see how much power we have as a collective to make changes and to create a better world for ourselves and our communities and for, our future children and our future children's children, essentially. But anyway, that to say, if you're doing this work also and going through a Sparkle Quest journey of your own, this is a time, once you start to get through the void, where you will feel a sort of grief and a mourning for that person that you used to be as you move into this person that you are becoming. So there is also a need to, I think, honor that previous iteration of self and to say, thank you for getting me to where I am today. Like, even though this has been challenging, it's been difficult, we've been through a lot together, like, thank you for I am grateful for that version of myself. And maybe even if it was someone that I didn't like the decisions that they made, me as my future self me as myself now, looking back, I don't like the decisions that they made now, or I don't like certain things that they did, or there's certain things maybe I'm not proud of that I did, ways that I acted. But there's a need to, I think, have gratitude and pay homage. Is that a word? Homage? Homage? Fromage? That's cheese, right? In French. Pay respects to that previous version of self. And one thing that I will do when I'm going through a really transitory time is I will do an actual cord cutting ceremony. I'll get 2 small candles and, color depending, whatever you feel that you're connecting to right now. I'll tie a string between them and light both of the candles and just watch them. I'll go outside somewhere. Like, I like to go to the beach because I live by the ocean, and put the candles in the sand and watch them go down and then melt until the cord catches on fire and is broken. And it's just like a physical ceremony to say, like, I'm grateful for that previous phase in my life. I'm grateful for that previous person that I was. And I know now that I want something different and I'm moving into this new phase, and I feel like I'm ready to say goodbye to that and look to the future. So that was a lot. I don't know if I'm probably going to listen back to this and be like, oh, just shut up. Just get to the point. I do a lot of waffling. It's also time for dinner. I maybe could make waffles. That actually sounds really yummy tummy. I think I'm going to go make some food. So thanks for listening. And your homework is to try some of those practices out. Let me know if they help. Let me know if they work for you. Let me know what you do. Also, I'm always open to adding new things to my toolkit. And I will see you next time on the next episode of Midnight Soup Pod. Thank you. Toodles!